Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome to class. Today we're going to do a short sequence that's suitable for seniors and beginners. Before we begin, if you find this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. We're going to utilise a chair and we'll be sitting on the chair for some of this sequence. And so I'm going to turn sideways just to show you how I want us to be sitting on the chair. Rather than sitting with the majority of our thighs on the chair and leaning into the backrest, we're going to sit forward so that the majority of our thighs are not on the seat, and it's really just the buttocks and the sitting bones that are on the front edge of the seat. We've got a lot of the seat behind us to work with as particularly we go into a twist, but more importantly, when we sit on the edge of our seat and we're not relying on the backrest, we're more inclined to sit up straight. Of course, we can still slouch, but let's just feel into our sit bones for a moment. So often when we're slouching, the pelvis is what we call in a posterior tilt. It's tilted backwards. When the pelvis is tilted backwards, we're not quite on the sit bones. We're somewhere between the sit bones and the tailbone. And it usually means that the lower back is dropping back and then the chest collapses. So as we roll the pelvis forward, we can feel that we're actually on the sit bones. So do that a couple of times just so that you can feel the rotation of the pelvis. And you can put your hands on the pelvic bones, feel the pelvis as it has the capacity to tilt backwards and tilt forwards. And notice the relationship between what your pelvis is doing, what the spine is doing here in the lower back, and what the chest is doing. More often than not, when we tilt the pelvis forward, like so, the lumbar spine can move in. We could say also it's lifting rather than dropping backwards. So pelvis rolls forward, lumbar spine moves in, and the chest correlates with a lift. So maintain that awareness. We've got our feet hip width apart, knees hip width apart. We can just start with the hands on our thighs and we're sitting up straight. Shoulders relaxed. But as we're sitting up straight, the spinal muscles are working. So we observe that. Postural muscles. Let's press the shoulder tips back and down. So shoulder tips are the top of the upper arm bones. Press them back and down as you stretch your arms down by the sides of the body. And then notice the abdominal region. Can you bring a sense of tone to the abdominal region as you're lifting the chest? So we're drawing navel up and back towards the back abdominal wall. So we want to take care we're not excessively tilting the pelvis. Some of us have got that capacity, which means the lumbar digs in too strongly. So we would say, yes, we want the lumbar spine to move in, but not excessively. So that's where we've got to have our checks and balances. Can we also lift the navel and draw the navel up and back towards the back abdominal wall as we're lifting the lumbar spine and moving that in? And we're stretching down to the fingertips. Shoulder tips pressing back and down, bringing some strength and tone to the upper arms, and feeling this broadness across the sternoclavicular area. So sternum being the breastbone, clavicular area, the collarbones. Then we'll sweep the arms forward and up. Inhale. Lift the arms from the waist and then out and down. So turn your palms out. Exhale the arms out and down. Let's go again. Arms forward and up. Inhale. Out and down as you exhale. Now, as we're doing this, we want to watch that we're not moving the pelvis. We've set our pelvis in position. We've set our spine and our abdomen in position. We're not wanting to move in the spine, which means the rib cage will be moving as well. So contain this area. Arms forward and up. Inhale. Exhale, arms out and down. Again, inhale, arms out. Lift up from the waist. Exhale, arms out and down. I'm going to turn my chair now to face this camera, and we're going to continue. So again, we've got arms stretching down, we've got knees and feet hip width apart, arms forward and up. Inhale, now can you look up towards the hands, and then exhale, head comes back to neutral as the arms drape down. Again, arms forward and up, lift the chin, look up, inhale, and exhale, arms out and down, and then rest the arms for a moment. Now, lifting the head may be problematic if we're particularly stiff in the neck, but also if we suffer from vertigo. So watch when you do take your head up to look upwards. Of course, if you suffer from vertigo, then perhaps you need to keep your head more neutral. But this time we're going to interlock the fingers. Fingers interlocked. Press the palms forward, elbows straight. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Lift the arms from the waist. Exhale, arms out and down. Opposite index finger interlocking on top. Press the palms forward, elbows straight. Inhale your arms up and exhale, arms out and down. Favored interlock, the normal way you interlock. Palms forward, elbows straight. Inhale your arms up, lift up from the sides of the waist, and exhale, arms out and down. And again, your least favoured way of interlocking, the opposite interlock, arms forward. Inhale, lift up from the sides of the waist, and exhale, arms out and down. And again, rest your arms. We're going to do a simple spinal twist now. Let's bring the knees and feet together. And when you turn, can you reach your right hand to the far corner of the seat? If you're feeling a bit stiff when it comes to twisting, at least just try to reach your hand back to the arm of the chair, or maybe the right hand corner of the seat. But if you feel mobile here as you're twisting, take the right hand to the left corner of the back of the seat. And use your left hand against the right knee to help you to turn. So the more you're able to put pressure with the left hand on the right knee, the more you'll be able to revolve the torso. Then back to center. We go to the other side. So pressing the right hand against the left leg, and if you feel stiff, this left hand, perhaps it just reaches the arm of the chair or reaches to the left corner of the chair, or maybe you can go further to the right corner of the chair. But as you're turning, use the pressure of the right hand against the left leg to motivate the rotation of the torso. Steady breathing. And come back to center. Now moving on, I'm going to take my chair just a bit further back so that my feet can be on the sticky mat for this. And I'm going to start with the legs together. Now I'm going to mirror you. This right leg will stay straight, and we're going to take left leg out to the side. And then back forward again. So you can lean into the chair arm perhaps with your left hand to help you get this leg to move. So we're working with some mobility in the hips. Right leg stays straight as it is, and then left leg steps out to the side and forward again. Out to the side and forward again. So if possible, you're creating a 90-degree angle here between the thighs and forward. And clearly, when we're taking this leg out to the side, we need to allow this buttock or sitting bone to lift up just enough that we're able to swing the leg out wide. Let's swap sides. So the left hand, your right hand can reach to the chair behind you if you've got a chair arm there. Left hand can sit on your left thigh. We keep that left leg stable, and we step the right leg out to the side and forward again. So lift that right sitting bone as you take the step out to the side, and see if you can go towards the 90-degree angle as you step right leg out and forward again. Good, so we're going to use that and see if we can perhaps go a little bit further, but this time I want to use the length of my mat. So I'm going to take my chair to, if you're mirroring me, it will be your right side of the mat. And I'm going to sit sideways. So now I've got my feet, ideally they're on the sticky mat, or if you need bricks under your feet, you can have your bricks there so that you're not struggling to reach the floor. But pull yourself right back so that the thighs are on your chair now. So again, I'm going to take the right leg out wide. So just as we did to the 90-degree angle. And then from there, we're going to see if we can stride this right leg back towards the far end of our mat. So you can lean your left hand into the chair seat, stride the leg back, and then forward to the 90-degree angle. So you can keep your hands like so. Left hand's holding the front of the seat, right hand's on the back of the chair. And see if you can stride the leg back, press the outer foot into the floor, and forward again. Now if you're feeling really stiff in the hips, you could put a brick here underneath the left sitting bone, and that may alleviate the feeling of being so stiff in the hips that you can't take your leg back. But let's go again. Stride the leg back, bring some tone into the action of this leg, and forward again. And again, stride back, you press the thigh bone and the shin bone back, and forward again. And as we continue, make sure that this right foot is pushing firmly into the floor. So we're keeping the knee vertically top the ankle, right leg staying strong as we're striding left leg back. Encouraging some mobility in the hips and strength in the legs and the buttocks. Okay, now let's swap sides. So we'll stand up, we'll take the chair to the other side of the mat. I like to leave a bit of room there for the feet. And you sit sideways on your chair. So the feet can then be on the sticky mat. I'm sitting well back. So the majority of the thighs are on the seat of the chair. You might find the buttocks are not quite completely on the chair, depending on how long your thighs are. But let's take the right leg out. So again, I'm mirroring you. The right leg comes out to the 90-degree angle. The left hand can be holding the back of the seat and the right hand's holding the inner pad of the seat there. And establish this left leg as a firm asset. Yes, you're pushing down into that foot, pressing the thigh down into the seat as you then intend to stride the right leg back. But watch your foot, keep it pointing forward. And then forward again, back to that 90-degree angle. Once more, you can keep your hand holding the front of the seat. You can lean into the back of the seat. You can lean the torso forward a little bit if you need to access this movement. And again, we stride forward, back to that 90-degree angle. Now as we continue, if it's really difficult, if you're really struggling to get this leg back, try putting a brick here underneath the right sitting bone so that the height helps you access the movement of the hip. So again, stride back, press the thigh back and forward. Stride back, you're trying to get the outer foot into the floor and forward. Stride back, thigh bone, shin bone presses back and forward. And stride back, chest lifted as much as you can and forward. Let's do one more. Stride back, chest lifted and forward. And then let's just rest for a moment. So you can sit forward, rest the legs, rest the arms. We were working with a particular way of accessing mobility in the hips and strengthening the gluteal muscles, the buttock muscles, as well as the quadriceps. But now we come to working with the strength in the quadriceps in a different manner. We're going to also use a belt in a moment, so make sure you've got a belt handy. For now, let's sit on the chair. Again, I'll turn my chair sideways so that we're just on the front of the seat. Thighs are off the seat. And bring your knees and feet together unless you feel really unsteady balance-wise. If you do feel unsteady, you can have your feet apart. That does provide a bit more steadiness when we're coming to stand. We're going to be standing up off the chair and sitting back down again. One of the reasons I'm wanting us to work with our feet together, knees together, is so that the knees can track the same direction the toes are pointing, rather than having the potential of the feet slightly turned out and the knees rolling in, which I do sometimes see in the classroom. So if you are working with knees and feet hip width apart, keep your feet pointing forward, keep your knees tracking forward. But otherwise, if you can manage, knees and feet together. We're going to start with the hands on the waist. And to stand up, we're going to lean forward. But what will be helpful, rather than having your ankles vertically underneath your knees, you step your feet in. So you're creating a diagonal line in the shins. Then when you lean forward, your spine comes on the same diagonal as the shins, and you can press into the feet to stand up. Now we come to sit down the same way. So you bend the knees, the shin bones and the spine come onto the diagonal. We trust that the seat is there, and we come to sit back down again. Roll the shoulders back, chest lifted, inhale, exhale. You lean forward to stand up, lift the navel up, and let's sit back down again. Once more, inhale, exhale as you stand up, and perhaps we'll inhale as we sit down. Exhale, stand up, and inhale, sit down. Now, before we tire ourselves out practicing that, we're going to see if we can take it a step further with the arms out in front of us, and we'll be holding our belt. So let's go and get our belt. So I've got my belt. You can either minimize the loop or widen the loop. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to be using a bit of the belt so that our hands are shoulder width in front of us. So again, knees and feet together. Hold your belt, hands shoulder width. Pull on the belt so that your elbows are straight, and you're bringing some awareness to the tone of the underarm muscles, the triceps. Again, bring the heels in closer so the shins are on the diagonal. And remember that we're wanting to maintain a tone here in the pelvic abdominal area, particularly when you stand up. See if you can really think about lifting the navel up. Inhale. Reach the arms forward as you exhale. Stand up. Lift the navel up. And inhale back down, keeping the arms forward. Inhale. Exhale. Stand up. Inhale. Sit back down. Exhale. Forward. Inhale. Sit back down. And then rest the arms for a moment. Now as we continue, we would then inhale and take the arms up as we're standing all the way up, and then when we exhale, we can bring the arms forward and down. There'd be a reason why you wouldn't do that is if you're suffering from high blood pressure and it's not controlled with medication. So you could either keep your arms forward or continue with your hands on your waist. But again, make sure your ankles are in behind the line of your knees, chest is lifted. Inhale, you stand up. And if you're working with the arms up, you take your arms up, and then let's come to sit back down again. Now I may not have called the breath correctly there. Let's stay seated while we inhale. Exhale as we stand up. And you can inhale again when you're here with the arms up, and you can exhale again as you sit down. There are different ways of working. Let's go again. I'm going to inhale. Then exhale, stand up. And inhale back down. Now that may feel counterintuitive, the way that we're breathing, because often when we inhale, we take the arms up. So let's try breathing the other way. So pause as you exhale, then inhale, stand up, arms up, and exhale. Back down again. Let's continue. Inhale up, and exhale back down. Again. Inhale, stand up, lengthen your tailbone down as you lift the navel, and back down again. Good. And rest the arms. You can separate the feet, relax the legs there for a moment. Sit straight though. So even though you're relaxing, don't go back into an old habit or pattern of being collapsed. See if you can keep the sit bones anchored rather than collapsing back to the tailbone. Maintain the lift in the spine and the consequent lift in the chest. Shoulders relaxed, arms relaxed. let's put the belt aside. And again, make sure that the thighs are completely off the chair. We'll cross the right ankle over the left thigh and start to bring your body weight forward. Now, if the hips are quite tight, you'll feel particularly on this right side, the right gluteal muscles may be resistant to you coming forward. If that's the case, then you just stay sitting upright. Perhaps you can put a bit of weight there on the inner right knee with your right hand. But if you've got the capacity, when you come forward, the pelvis continues to roll forward. You're lengthening the torso forward, lengthen the breastbone forward. So just watch that in the effort of coming forward, you're not rounding your back excessively and dropping the chest. Lengthen the breastbone forward as you bring your spine more on that diagonal angle over the legs. Breathe smoothly and notice the shoulders. Are they pulling up into the neck? Is there tension being held in the shoulders? Can you roll them back and down? And come up. Let's swap the legs. So replace that right foot on the floor and bring your left ankle over the right thigh. And again, if sitting up straight, there's already a feeling of stretch in this left outer hip, and it's even just difficult sitting here, then stay upright. And even still, if it's difficult, you can put a folded blanket or a bolster underneath the buttocks, and that may make it more accessible to bring this leg into a simple cross-leg position. But if possible, you start to lean forward. So pelvis tilt and then spine angling forward, watching that you're not rounding your back excessively, you're not dropping the chest. Can you continue to lengthen the breastbone forward away from the navel and roll your shoulders back and down? And then observe your breath. Sometimes when we bring attention to our breath, then we actually start breathing properly. So as soon as I say, bring your awareness to the breath, notice how then you might feel, oh, there's an awareness, oh, actually I was holding my breath, or there was tension in my breath. Now I can settle the breath. I can work with a steadiness in the breath because my attention is drawn to it. And come to sit. Let's do another spinal twist, but this time instead of sitting and turning towards the back, we're going to sit sideways. So if I'm mirroring you, you'll be sitting with your right side body facing the back of the seat. Knees and feet together. Let's twist to the right. So we're reaching our hands to hold the chair. And again, maintain the lift in the lumbar spine. Draw the navel up and back towards the back abdominal wall. Lift the sternum and roll the shoulders back and down. So just watch that you're not rounding the shoulders and causing a narrowing across the collarbones and the chest there. Shoulders roll back and down, and you pull with the right hand and you push with the left hand. You pull with the left hand and you push with the right hand to help you turn further. And then we come out of the twist. We swivel around so that we're facing the other direction. Left side body facing the back of the chair, knees and feet together. Twist to your left. And again, you can utilize the pressure of the hands on the chair. So you'll be pulling with your right hand and pushing with your left hand. Rotating the torso, but rolling the shoulders back and down. And maintaining the lift in the lumbar, the lift in the navel. And come out of the twist. We're going to do one more pose, and this time we're going to be accessing the floor, sitting on the floor. If that's difficult for you, then you can just repeat what we did. Sitting on the chair, right ankle over the left leg, leaning forward. But for those of us who are mobile enough to come to sit on the floor, we're going to use a blanket under the buttocks. So let's get a blanket. Still using our chair, we'll keep the chair there facing us. We put our blanket down, and the fold of the blanket, the height of the blanket will depend on your hips and how you manage to come down and sit in simple cross legs. So if when you sit in simple cross legs, your knees are significantly higher than the root of your thighs, I'd suggest you use a lot more height underneath the hips. Perhaps you've got 2 blankets, perhaps you've got a bolster you can sit on, or perhaps it's better for you to stay sitting on the chair. Ideally, the knees can release down. So out and down, knees and feet are contained within the width of your mat, so you're not taking the knees out terribly wide. When we set the legs in this position with the feet in line with the knees, it's going to help us get an adequate stretch in the hips, but it also helps keep the weight even in both sitting bones. When the knees are wide, quite often the weight comes more predominantly into one hip. When you're ready, we're going to stretch forward to the chair. You can either reach your hands to the seat of the chair, but notice the sternum. Don't drop your chest, or you can go higher up. So when you walk your hands higher up, and you can certainly bring the chair in closer to you, but when you walk your hands higher up, it does encourage the lift of the chest, and it encourages this thoracic spine to move in. And particularly if we've got a bad habit of sitting in a slouch, or as we age, this upper back does want to be in a bit more of a kyphotic state. So it's a name for the positioning of the spine, where we're coming into more of a rounded upper back. So can you press into the chair, move the upper spine in, so that thoracic region between the shoulder blades moves in as the upper breastbone lifts up. But we're intending to stretch the hips. So if you're feeling capable in the hips, you can take your chair a bit further forward. Then notice your breath. Easy, steady breathing. And then come up, and we'll swap the cross of the legs. Opposite shin in front. So if you're sitting on your chair, you'll now put your left ankle on the right thigh. Now again, you can come forward. Perhaps you're just reaching to the seat of the chair and you're focusing on the lift of the front body, the sternum up. Maybe you can go a bit further. Perhaps you're walking the hands up the arms of the chair. And as you press the hands down into the chair, use that to help rebound the breastbone up and draw this thoracic spine in. Spine between your shoulder blades moves in as you're leaning forward over the shin bones. And then as you notice your breath, see if you can slow it down. Slow your exhalations down particularly. Keep your jaw relaxed. Notice if you're clenching your teeth in resistance to the stretch in the hips. Can you let the teeth be apart so your jaw is relaxed? And then slowly come up to sit. We'll finish our class for today. If you enjoy practicing with me, I invite you to check out my website. I've got a video library with over 390 classes, and there are quite a number of gentle classes on offer. That's on heatherkitchenyoga.com.au, and you can start with a 7-day free trial on that subscription. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me. For more in-depth teaching, check out the video library on my website, heatherkitchenyoga.com.au. The link is in the description box below.